I can see an innate desire, sword in hand, warriors side by side. I can feel it, it burns like fire. Worlds collide, an unstable landscape, side by side. But that's what this man digs. Be it might, an unlikely allegiance. We will fight because that's the best defense. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find a glorious death. Glorious death. Our goal, our mission is clear, as we ride against a dark empire. By my soul, may the last thing they hear be the roar of this raging fire. Disobey the savagery mindset. Not today, we'll let loose and find it. Brutal will define our reaction. Rip out the throat of each one imperfection. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find the
Footing Services has a bundle for all budgets. You can be fully protected with emergency response for just $49.99.
And we're live. This is Braxcast time once again. I got the microphone working by the grace of God. Happy New Year, guys. It is officially 2026. It is the second day of 26. So I know the last stream was a really short one because I had family visiting and Caro Brown was visiting. This one, I don't really have much to talk about. There's a Rip affiliate. I just saw this post about an hour ago. That's probably what I'll make Braxcast about. The recorded episode will be 95 if I'm getting it correctly. Also feel like I'm coming down with something, so I don't know. I just don't feel well. I think I'm going to get sicker because it's so freaking cold. My body is just beginning to shut down. Unfortunate, many such cases. But like I said, we will say hello to Merc Lounge, who's going to be multitasking on and off. That's all well and good. Glad you showed up, tuned into the stream. And of course, we got NDA Andrew, who was able to rip himself away from the boxed wine to be lurking in the stream tonight. Or, he's got the boxed wine in hand and he's just, multitasking as well. Oh boy. Okay, so let's see. We're going to add this to the stage here. So we've got the Rip affiliate program. Going into this completely blind. I'll be giving you guys my reaction to this, but we'll play the audio here right now.
Quick heads up, guys, and I'm actually really excited about this, but we recently launched something new called the Rip Affiliate Program. The goal here is really simple. We want to just give creators who are already close in proximity to what we're building a real way to work with us and earn while doing what they are already doing. Right now, it's invite only, but as we test it and see how it goes, we absolutely plan to expand it. The idea came out of market research and conversations, especially talking with my good friend Zach over at Meta PCs, who's been doing this kind of thing for a very long time, and they do it really well. People are actually surprised we hadn't been doing this all along. But at the moment, it's limited to Rippaverse only, not Ripasyn. So if you start seeing creators sharing creator links or personalized codes, now you know what's going on. This is just another way we're collaborating, growing, and building together, and I'm looking forward to where it goes.
I like this. Why haven't I gotten an invite? I know Andrew's in the chat. Where's my invite? That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, no. I mean, this is really typical stuff. Amazon's been doing this for years. Meta PC, like Eric mentioned in the video, they have these creator links. It's a very much a it's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Mutually beneficial. That's the term I'm looking for. Of course, we got Ram in the chat. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're doing better than me. Like I said, I'm kind of feeling a bit sick. So I might cut this off a little bit short because I don't have much to talk about other than this. And this is seeming to be just invite only. So checking the Rippaverse store, we don't really see anything. We see Rippaworks. Of course, we can check in on that animation fund. We're at about 70K. That cross over the 70K mark, which is pretty good. We've got about a week left, so I'm not sure if we'll hit that 100K. It's a decent possibility, and that'd be really, really cool if we did. Of course, we're not hitting that 1 million most likely, which is unfortunate, but I still think it's pretty respectable, and it means we're going to get more animation. There's a decent interest for animation. So, I mean, I think if they did a pilot or let's say the first, 20 minutes of of an ISOM movie or something along those lines and said we need X amount of money to finish the movie, I honestly think they could fund it. It would have to be, a reasonable amount if there was that milli. But I think they probably could do. I don't think they necessarily need $1 million. I don't know, but it's just me speculating on how much it would make me need to be for a full length animated movie. But it would be quite a bit of money, which is why they're going the crowdfunding route for that. But it's interesting to see. I'm glad that we're getting at least some more reverse animations, which will be really cool. But yeah, so this is something that's going to be, like I said, a Rip affiliate program. Always like stuff like that. like the all the puns. But this is definitely something that is very much like it's par for the course. It's nothing new, but it's a great thing to do. And like I said, it's going to be mutually beneficial, build the community. It's going to incentivize more people to make content about the Rippaverse. So like I'm just doing it because it's a hobby for me and like an extreme hobby. And I haven't made a dime off of anything I've done with Velvet Room Publishing. In fact, I've lost money, like a decent amount of money. Because I'm not good at marketing myself. I don't know. I'm so in terms of being a writer. Although a lot of people think of the people who have read my books, I've mostly gotten basically very positive things. So I don't know. Maybe what I write is good. I just don't know how to get it out there. We got Mike has bad knees in chat. Ask me what is up, and like I said before, starting to come down with. I'm feeling like at the very beginning of a cold. So I'm concerned I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and I'm going to be like, get the priest. I'm done. That's because it's starting to feel like that. But hopefully I'll just drink some water, take it easy. I still want to go to the gym, get my lifting done. And then, hopefully I just take it easy on the weekend. I'm good for the week because I got to keep working, man. Oof. But yeah, no, I'm not feeling the greatest right now. I'm feeling like, ugh. So like I said, that in combination with the fact that we don't really have a lot to talk about since, and we're still coming down from that holiday season. Of course, we had had a flu after Christmas, and it's still affecting. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean this time of year, everybody gets sick. I was sick a couple of months ago. It's always a transition between seasons where I seem to get sick. And I guess it's always at some point in the winter. I mean, the last time I got really sick was like in February. I went and visited my grandmother in New Mexico. And when I came back, I was really sick for like, oh no, 3-4 days. Yeah, because I like took 2 days off of work. I took a day. I came in to work on a Thursday morning. I was like, I felt like shit. And my boss is like, you don't have to be here. Just go home, man. And I'm like, okay. And then I took the next day off because I had the PTO for it. And then and it was like at some point, like, oh no, Sunday afternoon or so, I felt better. And that was the last time I was really sick. And I'm, oh no, I definitely am not drinking enough water. I'm going to drink some water right now. But I mean, considering it's like 18 degrees out right now, and everything's like a freaking ice rink, probably a reason why I'm feeling pretty sick right now. It's because like I'm freezing to death, man. Whew boy. But like I said, really is not all that much to talk about in the land of the Rippaverse, in Rippaverse news. Not that like there aren't a bunch of exciting things, because we've had a bunch of collections just close out. So Dirty Deeds #1 is the only open one. So there's a bunch of stuff that's like on the docket. And look at Dirty Deeds. It's made $70,000. It's on track to selling 2,000 books, which is pretty respectable, my friends. Oh boy, and this collection is going to end on the 30th of January, and this all will be shipping Q1 2026. So this like first, bit of the year, these first so from now until March, assuming all the fulfillments happen, it's going to be absolutely insane, man, because we're going to get like Alpha Core 2, we're going to get Dirty Deeds #1, we're going to get the 5th Ripazine and Blood Roof #2. We're going to get like just a whole bunch of stuff. So it's going to be like a couple of weeks, guys, where it's just going to be like review. Here are all the books, review. So it's going to like buckle up, guys. It's going to be fun. It's going to feel like basically like the beginning of last year, about a year ago, after Blood Roof #1 fulfilled in February. That's when we got a whole bunch of stuff for the Rippaverse, and it was just like rapid fire, man. It's going to be like that again. It's going to be like even more intense. I'm excited. So yes, I agree with Andrew. Let's get Dirty Deeds #1 over the 100K marker. That would be really, really fun to see, to get this into six figures. Yeah, Great War Separation Free as well is going to be fulfilling in Q1. That's going to be really exciting. Can't wait to see that. So again, yeah, there's just so much stuff that's going on with the Rippaverse that like it's hard to keep track of it all. And a lot of this stuff is fulfilling in the first quarter of 2021, or not 21. 2026, man. 2021 was 5 years ago, man. Oh yeah, so don't mind me just waiting for the omnibus. The only omnibus I ordered was the Trinity omnibus. I didn't order Definitive Yaira or Definitive Isom. And it's nice to see LG in the chat. As Garfield said, hail LG. So yeah, those omnibuses, if you're waiting for like the years 1 through 3 omnibus, that's a pretty good that was a pretty good one to get. But if it's like Definitive Yaira, Definitive Isom, I don't know the status of those omnibuses. But those can take a while to get out because they're bigger books and a lot of printers that I'm not sure if the printers that the Rippaverse uses have to deal with this, but there's a decent amount of like printers that actually will print for like high school yearbooks and stuff like that. So if you're printing at like the right time or the wrong time, then you have to deal with that. Shouldn't be an issue this time of year though, because I imagine high school yearbooks print like late spring or so. Probably around like the last couple of weeks of May. Both definitive books will be soon, according to Andrew. That's good to hear. And yeah, I imagine so. But I just remember like one comic I crowdfunded was like, well, our printer had obligations to school districts for yearbooks, which is why we can't get it out at the time that we thought we would. I was like, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, so like again, there's a lot of like there's a queue, and there are people who take priority over the queue. If you're a printer, being like Joe Schmo with his indie comic book that has a couple of thousand sales is going to have less precedent than like the let's say random town of America school district that's going to consistently order like a couple of hundred books every year, and they're all brutally expensive, and they're going to do that like really consistent, like every single year they're going to do that. So it's a more important client to keep happy, and they need it by this specific time because you get your yearbook last couple of weeks of your senior year of high school. You go around having everybody sign it. I did that. Not everyone did that. I remember I had one friend who didn't, but everyone asked to sign it, and everybody thought I was going to do really well in college. And I did. It didn't. But that was like a lot of it. I was self-inflicted. Like if I applied myself, I probably would have gotten a 4-year degree. I just didn't feel like doing it. Instead, I ended up here, man, in my night. Well, yeah, I guess it's a nice apartment, talking about comic books on a Friday night, and I have been doing that for a while. So things could have gotten a lot worse for me, but they could have probably got a bit better. But I was so lost during my my first like stint in college when I was dorming. But yeah, it feels like really like a lifetime ago, especially since all the dorming I did was before COVID. So I couldn't imagine like having like a dorming experience during COVID and now like post COVID, man. I spent too much time thinking about the Roman Empire. I wasn't thinking about the Roman Empire back then as intensely as I do now. Although I knew a bit about Roman history, but no, I was smoking pot and playing video games instead of studying. Like literally, that's what I was doing. So I was playing God of War because it was like 18. That game came out like in April of 18. I beat it once. I was playing for like New Game Plus my first semester, which was my last semester. And then I think it was Red Dead Redemption 2. That game, because that game came out like November of 18. And I demolished that. That was a good game. And there was Smash Brothers as well, like because that came out December. So instead of like studying for the finals and getting all those, I was playing Smash Brothers. Oh man. But that's what I was doing. So it wasn't like I could have, but I would have been like in computer science, and maybe it would have worked out for me. But I don't know, really skeptical with the time I came out because I would have graduated in 21. I did get a 2-year degree in 21, so I would graduate like May of 21. So I might have been able to have gotten in on like the post COVID boom, right? Terms of those jobs, like I would have been coming out, I would have been able to secure like a decent job, but then I probably would have gotten like laid off right away, and I'd still have like, I don't know, like a lot more student debt, loan debt than I had, and I was able to. Well, yeah, I don't have any student loan debt anymore because I was able to pay it all off, with help from the family, but that's a whole other discussion right there. But regardless, man, regardless, it was not necessarily me thinking about a Roman Empire story in the Rippaverse, because like back then, I don't think I even knew who Eric July was until it was the video he made about the Little Mermaid being race swapped. Whenever he made that video, that's I believe like the first one I watched from Eric July. I don't know when that movie came out or when that movie was being talked about. The little, of course, I know the original one came out in '89 before I was around, before Eric July was around. Little Mermaid, yeah, the 2023 film, that one came out when I was about 25. So I probably didn't hear about Eric until I was like 23, 24, depending on whenever this movie was, like when they first announced it. So yeah, it was a bit ago. Let's see. Mickey No More did a great documentary covering Comicsgate and all the drama and unfulfilled campaigns. He plans on making another one this year. I'm also looking forward to that. Yeah, I mean, I watched one. I think it might be. It wasn't like that hour-long video because I remember watching something like that, and that was a really good one. And it's like it's interesting to like document the fall in the same way that like looking at like a dumpster fire or like two trains crashing into each other, like it's interesting, like it's entertaining to watch, but at the same time it's like, you seen it once, you see it a million times, and it's just a really sad state for Comicsgate to be in, because it could have been a really, really good movement, really something positive for the community, but it just isn't that, man. It just is not that for a variety of reasons. And there are people who have studied this and have the receipts and have documented this much better than I ever will, and much better than I ever care to at this point. Who you can go to if you're like really like want to be in the know of this and like know why like people do not view Comicsgate as a viable movement, or think that like the people who are at the center of Comicsgate are good actors. But anyways, neither here nor there. This is Braxcast Live. We talk about the Rippaverse, but like I said, there is not that much, because we're still in this like time where people are getting off of the holiday season. Of course, January 1st is typically a day in which businesses are closed. So we did, and of course, last week we had Christmas, so it's 2 weeks in a row where like there's one less business day. A lot of businesses just straight up close from that Friday, and that's probably like 2 weeks in a row. So you got a lot of people who are still in this like holiday mode heading into the weekend. So it's going to be starting like next week when you see stuff like really start to happen. And I imagine at first we'll get Salvage and Saoirse, either one of those two, because those two were supposed to release in 24. They ended up not releasing, which it's okay, because it's not like Eric at the Rippaverse collected $100,000 each for them and then said they're going to be out by November of 24 and we're waiting on it. No, it hasn't been launched yet. We haven't paid for it yet. It was just like saying, hey, we're planning on releasing this in 24, and it's just a bit later because delays happen. But that's the essential like difference between that and like people who are chronically late in crowdfunding, is that they already have the money and they've made that promise, and you want to have this like customer relationship and one aspect, but also you want to have this idea that like your customers, quote unquote, they're not customers, they're investors, right? And you have to take risk when you're investing in something. That turns off a lot of people. especially if people are just used to walking into their local comic book shop, seeing the Superman comic or the Swamp Thing comic or the Batman or the Nightwing or the Invincible or the Battle Beast comic, picking it up, buying it, and then reading it when they get home. Like that, if you're trying to present yourself as an alternative to that experience and you take like, I don't know, 6 months to a year past when you have actually given them money, and in some cases, years, there are people who straight up have backed Rainbow the Brute, went through college and graduated college and still do not have Rainbow the Brute. Like that is ridiculous. And again, you cannot convince me that it takes that long. Like someone cannot go through their entire college career, like the amount of time like between like to make a comic book. That's a bit ridiculous. Like a video game like Red Dead Redemption, like an epic movie, like sure, but like a comic book, it gets a bit ridiculous at a certain point. But again, I don't know. I guess I'm on a rant. See, EVS blatantly told one of his backers that they didn't purchase a book, that they are funding his lifestyle so he can work on it. No joke. That's what he told one of his frustrated Rainbow backers, man. You know, I'm not surprised. It's basically, he said, like, you didn't buy it, you backed it, which means, again, he's like, I'd say the prime culprit. Although a lot of people who use crowdfunding, they're not EVS, and it's not like a universal condemnation of the platforms of like Indiegogo or Kickstarter, or Fund My Comic, because you know John does great work with Heroic Tales. Phenomenova was supposed to fulfill in December. I haven't gotten it yet, but you know I think Von Coleman will get it out in a timely manner, and a bunch of other people like Zay Comics has been pretty good with fulfilling. Of course, you know Zach's chronically late, but I got some Zach books. There is just a okay. Who else? Yeah, I think Aaron will plus you or I forgot. Like so, yeah, these things you take time. Yeah, Mike Barron's done did Fin Blue Line. I got that in a pretty timely manner as well. So there's a bunch of like people who use the crowdfunding scene ethically. Certainly so, but it's just him. It's become very clear that he's got this certain, not say agenda, but he's not passionate. I think what was it, Darwin Cook, if I'm getting his name correctly, like literally said like I've had books come out late, not because of me, but because EVS can't get his shit together. And I was like, oh, it's freaking hilarious. But it's just indicative to me that one of the reasons why he got fired from DC, not the only reason, but one was that he couldn't meet deadlines. So DC was like, oh, he's a good artist. I like, we like, his work on Green Lantern and, the stuff he does for DC. But like, if he can't get the pages out consistently, it's not worth working with him. And he's got this political stuff. Let's just give him the boot. And then I think that's what happened. That really, to me, when I heard that, I had that like fury. But when, I watched that whole like documentary on Darwin Cook, and that was like very much just like one thing that was mentioned. It wasn't mentioned as like a dig at EVS specifically. It was mentioned that like he had a very bombastic, authoritative personality where he just like had this vision and he just went for it. Even when the whole comic book industry was going against what he wanted to do with comics, he did it anyway and he was successful with it. I mean, it's why like New Frontier happened. That's why he adapted, I forget, like the Walker books or whatever. So there was that was the whole like that was the context. It was done really well. I really like that video. Comic skater Rob Hunter took 30,000 and ran off with the money. Comic skater Jimmy Reyes took 55,000 and only fulfilled about 25% before running off with the money. Comic skater Vito took 120K and didn't ship. Now Vito, I don't know. He's like Comicsgate proxy. Like he's like kind of Comicsgate. He really isn't though. The only thing that like unifies Vito with Comicsgate is that they both hate Eric July. Now, of course, Vito was like one of the OG Eric July haters. He had a debate quote unquote. This is basically just like, I don't know, however long, like Vito half an hour, basically just like concern trolling over the rip over Isom. Because it's like, oh, it's just like explicitly anti-woke, and I don't like that. You're doing the same thing the leftists are doing. And then he tried to show Super Killer, which was like in production back then, and the Rippaverse has been out for like 3 years now, like more than 3 years. EVS said Vito is Comicsgate royalty and called him a CG king while promoting Super Killer, man. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, but you see, the thing to me is that like Vito is only getting that status from EVS because they both hate Eric July. It's not that like EVS genuinely likes Vito. Very few people I would say genuinely like Vito. I don't even think Dick Masterson genuinely likes Vito. I think he just likes having him around because he's like a funny guy in some way, like funny to like shit on, essentially. And it's sad, man, because like he's overweight. He does not have like the station in life that he wants to. So it's just like a lot of these are very sad, broken people. I can say that because like I am one of those kind of people. Certainly so, man. Like, oh no, I am. There's not much left on the inside. That's all I'll say. But anyways. Like, why am I even like, I don't know. But again, like, I don't know. I guess I like talking about this. And like I said, in terms of Rippaverse news, we're in a bit of a slow season right now, but this is not going to be the case for a while because we're going to get a bunch of stuff fulfilling. So there's going to be a bunch of stuff to talk about. I think there's going to be a Norfolk stream involving me and Toxic Nick sometime this month. We were playing it out in the DM. So I know you guys liked it when me and Nick and like JB, I think Andrew as well. We were we did that last one we did was on Great War of Separation? I can't even remember. It was a couple months ago, and a lot has happened since then. But anyways, we're going to do one in Norfolk. We agreed to do one in Norfolk, and that one is happening. So it should be happening sometime. So look at that some point later in the month. I don't want to exactly say when, but it should be happening this month. Am I allowed to say that? Am I going to get kicked from the group? I'm NDAing myself, although I didn't sign an NDA for that. Let's see. Out of all the books set to release, which book are you looking forward to the most? I'm thinking Blood Roof 2. Yeah, I mean, Blood Roof 2 is really exciting. But to me, Great War of Separation 3 and Alpha Core 2 are probably my top two contenders. Because, like, Great War Separation 3, like, I know once we get 3 and 4, we get the entire Great War Separation story. I'm just really excited to see how that story plays out. So I'd say looking to the conclusion of Great War Separation this year, because, like, number 4 is going to come out, like, I would be surprised if number 4 wasn't like fulfilled by the end of the summer. Probably be sooner than that with like the rate that they're going. But I would say at some point, but I say by the end of the summer, we'll have the 4th issue of Great War Separation. And that's something I would I'm not sure if I would bet money on it, but I would say that's something that's extremely likely. So I would say Great War Separation 3. But yeah, Blood Roof number 2 is going to be a really fun one to read. So yeah, of books that are known, Great War Separation 3, Blood Roof number 2, and of course Alpha Core number 2. I'm really excited for that one. I'm glad I never helped fund his books. Yeah, I backed Cyberfrog 3, and I backed Rainbow the Brute, and I backed like the highest tiers you could. So I got like let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Great War 4 isn't the first collection to launch in 26. Yeah, Mike, I would be because it could be, but I think the first collection to launch will be either Salvage or Sersha. That's my bet. Because those were supposed to release in 25. The Merc Lounge, same here. That's what, just responding to that. Or responding to this comment here. But like I said, I backed. Okay, and this is going to be the ridiculous thing. I backed Rainbow the Brute with money from my 2021 tax return. So, I filed my taxes for 21. You do it, I was like in 22. So it was like April-ish of 22. I had my tax return money. It's like, hey, I got a little bit of money from, that Uncle Sam overtook. We could talk about taxation all day, but anyways, I had my tax return money. Like, hey, let's do the Rainbow the Brute thing. And I backed the highest tier, like the executive lunchbox tier. And then now that lunchbox, like I backed it on the assumption that like, well, one, I would actually get it. Because I remember giving him a super chat being like, hey, do I have time to back it? He's like, oh yeah. That was a freaking understatement, man. Because it was like at this point, like around like 5 years ago. So I had like more than 5 years of time. Because I thought he was actually, at the time, I thought he was actually, hey, doing stuff, man. I thought he was getting his shit together, but he didn't get his shit together. Very unfortunate. But anyways, just to go to show, like the depth of time Rainbow the Brute has been funding is a bit ridiculous. Anyways, that I got the executive lunchbox tier. And it's supposed to be like one of those like metal lunchboxes like from the 80s back in the day. I think they were even doing it like when I was a kid. And I'm sure they still make them, like these metal lunchboxes. I think I had one that I might have had one that was like, the mystery van, from Scooby-Doo. Because like Scooby-Doo and all those Hanna-Barbera cartoons were pretty big back in the 2000s because of Boomerang. If you guys, Cartoon Network had Boomerang, and like the classic like Boomerang channel, which they would play like Flintstones and Scooby-Doo. Oh yeah, Johnny Bravo. I mean, love Johnny Bravo, but I'm forgetting the one where it's like the like blonde kid with his like Indian friend with like the Sikh turban. I forget. Like, do you guys remember that? I don't know. It's not Johnny Test. Johnny Test is something completely different. But do you guys remember that one? Does that ring a bell to you guys? Because like, oh, but yeah, I watched a lot of Scooby Doo when I was a kid. I love Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo. Johnny Quest. That is what it was. Johnny Quest. Yes. Yeah, it was Johnny Quest. Thank you guys. You got Chuck Jones. Thank you. I haven't seen you before, but yes, thank you so much, because that is what I was thinking of, Johnny Quest. I love how I was able to get like the script. You guys were able. I'm not sure how much of it I watched. I just remember like seeing it occasionally. But like I said, like Boomerang was the reason why those campaigns were not campaigns. Those cartoons were like popular with kids my age. And I'm thinking like people born in like the late 90s, early 2000s. It's because they were playing those as part of like the Cartoon Network, like I don't know, like the company had owned Cartoon Network, and I think they were like affiliated. But anyways, so I love Scooby-Doo because of that, because I watched a lot of those Hanna-Barbera cartoons on TV back when like you'd sit in front of the TV and you would flip to a channel, and you would just watch TV, right? Who does that anymore? Like unless you're like really old, man, you don't do that anymore. So let's see. I backed it because the concept was funny to me. Just the book, though. Didn't someone already take the concept and launch and fulfill a campaign related to Rainbow the Brute? Yes, this is called Rainbow the Brute. So you spelled that one correctly. I backed that one as well, Rainbow the Brute. And the thing is, there's a tier for like $1 called "Were you shafted by the Pie Man?" So when they ask me and then say, "Can you prove you were shafted by the Pie Man?" I can say, "Yes, I can," and they'll send me another copy for free. So it's Rainbow the Brute. Yeah, it's like just I forget. Yeah, I think it's spelled slightly differently. I think you spelled it correctly. Instead of it being rain, like you're reigning over a kingdom, it's just rainbow, and it's the brute might be spelled. But anyways, yeah, there's someone who's doing that. I think the PDF has already been like delivered, and the printing is probably going to happen very soon, and the fulfillment's going to be happening like it'll probably be in a couple of months, and that is freaking sad. But that's one I will review and read. Like I'll read it and review it and actually be able to do that, because but of course Rainbow is launched in 2020 and it's 2026 now, which is so freaking like hilarious, man. And again, I like the concept of Rainbow the Brute. I liked it back then. I still like it now. I think it's a funny concept, and I think if it was executed on, but that's a book that needed to come out like sometime in 22, like at the 23 at the latest, man. it's just not like I'd say like the Rippaverse changed everything might be a bit of an exaggeration. But I think like it had its time to be funny. And even when it was like going, like being like a satire of like 80s toy culture or toys from the 80s, um, it's only going to work with so many people. And I'm probably like, I'm certainly so like, even like maybe even I'm a bit too young to get all the references. A lot of it's going to be stuff from the 80s, and like I wasn't around during the 80s, but at least like I've got like some knowledge of it. But that's not going to be true for like kids these days. Yeah, so someone made a satire of the satire. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I mean, trying to do like a kids book where you're using like 80s or 90s references. I think there was like a Cyberfrog free like Heather Swain taking place in like 93. Like, dude, like I am pretty close to 30 right now, and I was not alive in 93. And a lot of people who are in their 30s would not like they might have been around in 93, but they couldn't tell you what they were doing because they were young. Remember the bronies in the 2010s? Oh yes, we remember the bronies. The bronies. Oh man. But bronies are probably still around, but yeah, in the tens, man, that's when they were pretty big. Um, I'd say so. I don't really remember like the bronies being a thing in like the 2000s. Because like I don't know, we could search up My Little Pony and like when that show, because like I never watched this show because I was a very like boyish boy because like I have two sisters, and I never really did what my sisters would want to do. So like I was like starkly in like rebellion against like anything girly. So I never liked My Little Pony on that basis, and I still don't. So oh yeah, My Pretty Pony toys, toy line and media franchise by American company Hasbro. So yes, it started as a toy line in the 80s, but we're looking for the television series and show. Actually, the first show started in 1986, guys. So I thought there was something that was like in the 2000s, but yeah, it originally released in 1986, which is definitely what at this point like about 40 years ago. Because yes, I never watched because I have testicles. That is exactly how I feel about My Little Pony. It was like, what is this girly nonsense, man? It's so stupid. Like, I want bright stuff in rainbows. And again, this is what like Rainbow the Brute is meant to parody, like where everything was like becoming like that, and then you just have this like super high teed like warrior just like chopping everything, and it's like all this sparkly rainbow stuff just like mixed with blood and gore. Like that's an inherently funny concept, and I'm 100% for it. It's just that it's not. It's going to only appeal to like a certain like demographic. Yeah, there was a relaunch in the 2010s, and then another one like 3 to 4 years ago, and that's probably why I got big in the tens. Was that you had a bunch of like probably dudes who were a bit I don't know, who wanted to be a bit effeminate, had probably played with their sisters ones back in like the late 80s, early 90s, and then it gets relaunched. They have all this disposable income, and they form this like brony subculture when it relaunched. Because I do remember it being pretty popular back in the day. But like I said, I was just never into it because as Mike said, he has testicles. I do as well. So it was just like, what is this girly nonsense? I'm not into it at all. I'm still not. So like again, I like the comic book stuff. I like the video game stuff. I have my let's see, I've got a bunch of amiibos, but I have amiibos and stuff like that. They're nice to have. Oop, I think yeah, I'm messing around with like the subwoofer and like it's like honking out. But anyways, that's a me thing. Anyways, so yeah, I'm looking at that. But like I said, this is just like I don't know, it's a very casual stream. I absolutely love streams like this. But anyways, yes, Dirty Deeds is the only open collection right now, and it is doing quite well. We're at 70K. Rippaverse is still open for the next week, and that is also at 70K, which is pretty respectable. And then, of course, we went over the Rip affiliate program, which is pretty cool. Hopefully, if they see this, asking me if I'm going to be an affiliate, I don't know. It's invite only right now. So I would suppose, Mike, if you want me to be an affiliate, and I would love to be an affiliate, harangue, Andrew, who's in the chat right now, at Eric July on Twitter, saying, why hasn't Joker gotten his affiliate link yet? And then they might consider me. If not, that's perfectly okay. I've got a pretty small audience, but I know a lot of you guys probably would use my affiliate link if I had one. And then that gives me kickbacks and make the sweet money. Joker's already an affiliate of the Roman Empire. Sure. But honestly, I'm more an affiliate of the Roman Republic, maybe even the Roman Kingdom. Because from the Orthodox Christian perspective, the monarchy is actually the only legitimate form of government, because it's the only form of government that God institutes, that we have record of God instituting, is monarchy. It starts, of course, with the kingdom of Israel. It starts with Saul, and then his son Ishbosheth, and then, of course, David. And you have the Davidic kingdom, and then it peaks with Solomon, and it's on the decline. But it's restored because Christ is the fulfillment of all the covenants, including the Davidic covenant. So the throne of David is exalted at the right hand of God the Father. But that's that's a theological. I should have talked about this. But anyways, yes, sure, I'm an affiliate of the Roman Empire, but the Roman Empire hasn't existed for almost about 600 years. The fall of Constantinople in 1453. So being affiliated with the Roman Empire doesn't really give you much in terms of kickbacks. Let's see. God didn't even want a monarchy; only gave it to Israel after they begged for one. Yeah. I don't know. That's a whole debate we could get into. But it's still a form of government he institutes. I think there's a verse in Samuel. So I'm not sure, but again, that's a whole thing. And the fact that Christ is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, there is a monarchy. And again, I'm not sure if you agree with the Nicene Creed, but the Nicene Creed, you confess to saying that his kingdom shall have no end. And this is just what the the whole second coming is, that he establishes a kingdom, it will have no end. So he will be the king, the Lord over all. This is, consistently, Christ calls himself Lord, and he's referred to as Lord. And he's referred to in Hebrews as God. Again, but that's a whole discussion, man. I could get very passionate about this, but let's see, which Dirty Deeds character are you looking forward to the most? I gotta say Arad and Spingy. I think yes, Spingy and Rinlin. Because I of course, I can think of two reasons why I'm excited for Rinlin, but that's me being way too crass. But anyways, I I need to get familiar with the characters more. I will as the story comes out, but Spingy, Rinlin, Era's a pretty cool guy. I forget the names of the other guys. But yeah, I'd say Spingy and Rinlin, because Spingy is the runt of the group, and I like the anthropomorphic spider angle. And of course, Rinlin's got the mind reading powers, and she's going to be if you watch Avatar, she's probably going to be the same presence for the group as Katara was for her group, where she was just of course she was strong and very assertive, but she was also very soft and nurturing a lot of the times. And of course, some of that came off as being very motherly, especially you watch season 3, where Toph and Asaka and Aang are gambling and scamming the Fire Nation town, and Katara is disapproving of it, and she's Toph is oh, you're not our mom. It's am I a mom? It's stop rubbing your eye and speak clearly when I'm talking to you. Yeah, Spingy, that's his name. Spingy, he's Spingy. Spingy. But anyways, like I said, so Spingy, because he's going to be the runt of the litter, and like I said, I like his character, his spider, shtick. And then of course Rinlin, for the reasons I listed before. I think she's going to be an interesting character, and of course you got Beetles, cool character. You got Aaron. Forget. But yeah, I think the whole thing is not necessarily like one character in specific that's going to be exciting about Dirty Deeds. It's going to be like them working as a unit and them working towards whatever goals that are, especially with the humans. Let's see. Beatles is the blue guy who pilots. Phyllis here is the orange skinned dude with no shirt. Era is a powdered white sword wielder. Spingy is Spider Boy. I forgot Era's cousin's name. Oh yeah, so Felisar. Yeah, Felisar does seem like cool because he's got like that cat thing going on as well. So again, I'm just interested to like have a full length story with the whole Dirty Deeds crew. And just see like the dynamic that starts to form between them, the world building that Caro has in mind, because like Caro has a lot of stuff planned out. She thinks of this like season, so and each one as an episode, as she was saying, the very short interview I did with her last week. So I'm just interested to see like what she's got cooking, and to see like based on this first issue, see like I could see like more of this happening. So again, it's just like on that basis, I'm very intensely interested in that. So it's not like one character in specific. It's more or less just the entire like team. I'm about to become a content creator just to hopefully flip it into being an affiliate. Any affiliate money I made, which is end up being first money. Honestly, that's how I feel. But for me, I would love to have like, it'd be nice to have like a decent amount of money like each month. If to like pad the hole I spend on Velvet Room Publishing. And also like because there's stuff I spend monthly for like Microsoft Word, like the Office suite. It'd be nice to make some money to do like when I have to renew StreamYard because I paid it up for the year. I think it was pretty shortly after like I moved up here. I decided like, hey, I'll pay for StreamYard for the year. And I like the paid version of StreamYard because like it lets me play the videos directly from StreamYard. I have my own watermark. I can stream to multiple platforms. I can download the VODs right away. I don't have to wait for YouTube to process them. Yeah, of course, Rinlin is Purple Space Elf Bay. Or Elf Babe. I'm not sure if you meant Bay. Bay was one that was like, it's like around 15 years ago at this point, when Bay was a pretty like popular one. And of course, it's like the Ebonic way of saying babe, but it became like it became known as an acronym for before anyone else, even though that's not how it actually became one. It was like it's like the Ebonic way of saying babe. You say bay, because I don't know. Anyways, I'm not sure if I'll get canceled, but anyways, we have to respect the Ebonics, right? Of course. But anyways, I'm not sure if you unironically meant to use the term Bay. Bay isn't Ebonics, it's millennial. Well, okay, I guess the millennials or some of the millennials will claim that it was Ebonics. Same way like that Unk is. And apparently to the people who unironically use the term Unk, I'm an Unk. Because like I'd say most of Gen Z, because most of Gen Z is below the age of 25. Is that like if you're like a 15 or a 16-year-old today, you're technically Gen Z. You're on the younger end of being Gen Z. But the thing is, like, I don't relate to a 16-year-old like generationally. Like it does not really feel like, because like if you were like 16 now, you're either born. Yeah, honestly, there are a couple of people who are 16 who were born in 2010. Yeah, Unk would fall into Ebonics. Bay, no, okay. Yeah, I guess Unk. But the thing is that like with most of Gen Z, they cannot conceptualize people. Anybody who is above the age of 25. Yeah, you're sort of an expert. I'll take your word on it, Mike. I'll take your word on it. But I just remember hearing an etymologist say that it was actually Ebonics, and to say it meant it was before anyone else, that was somehow racist or whatever. Because a lot of the etymology community, they're very knowledgeable. Their shorts are very interesting. When I was like watching lots of YouTube shorts, I disabled the app off of my phone, along with deleting the Twitter app. So I still doom scroll, but I just got to drastically reduce doom scrolling. And it's one of the things because those two apps are the biggest time wasters for me. So I got rid of them. And that's the high and low of it. But anyways, my whole thing ranting against Gen Z was that you got a significant portion of people that think like anybody above the age of 25 is old. And honestly, there was someone who said like you're old if you were born in the year 2004. I'm like, no. And it's like I remember the year 2004. And there are people who think that like some people are saying stuff that was a bit more reasonable, like 1990. If you're not born in 1990 or 35, 36 now, it's not like that old. To me, old is like someone who very clearly remembers the death of John Lennon, which happened in 1980. So like people born in like the 60s are like old because those are my parents' age, right? That's like old to me. And it's not like even like ancient. Like ancient is like my grandfather's born in the 30s. That's like really old to me. So like 30s and 40s, it's like really old, like the peak boomer generation. Well, if you're born in the 30s, it's not really boomer. But anyways. You have but the thing is that like most of the very young, the younger people in Gen Z, people who are like not even 20 yet, still teenagers, they're really can't conceptualize someone being like being older and not being like ancient. As soon as like you're past the age, I guess, of 21, which is like absurd to me, you're old. Because there are people who would, I'm not that old. I'm 27. And I know, someone like you, Mike, or you, Andrew, is not going to think of a 27-year-old being that old. I don't even think someone who's like 35 is that old. So that's the thing. And I'm like right at that cutoff where like I have this ability to like not be that delusional about age. But there are people who think that like I'm ancient because like, I'm not 25 anymore. And it wasn't that long ago when I was 25, but still it's like I can say like when I was 25 and I'm like when I was that age, I'm thinking of like being 21. Like I said, yeah, but man, I'm ranting about this. But anyways, I don't know. I hate Gen Z. I hate millennials, and these are the two generations. I'm like in between them because I'm like really too old to be a cohort with most of Gen Z, but I'm like just too young to be a cohort with most millennials. So like I'm not solidly in either generation, and I honestly hate them both. Like forgive me. But I really dislike Gen Z and millennials. They have a bunch of problems. Of course, like some Gen Z are more conservative, but especially like I would say like a lot of this goes especially for like women who were born a couple years younger than me, but not like prohibitively so, are still going to be very feminist. And a lot of millennials basically all feminists. Like women born in like the early 90s, late 80s, very feminist because they grew up on the still growing up on like TV and video cassettes and all of that at that point was just pure like Sex in the City propaganda. And you have some deep programming that happened. So you got a decent amount of women who are pretty conservative, who are younger, but it's a whole other thing. But anyways, there's a lot of problems with both the millennials and Gen Z. So I don't like either of them. Not really. Like I wish I was like I don't know, part of me wishes I was born like instead of being born in 98, I was in 1998. I wish I was born in 1898. So it was around during like the 1900s. Again, the fact that like I was born, so like people who are born in the 2000s who think, oh, I was born in the late 1900s. Like there's no difference between me being born in like 1998 and someone who was born in 1908. But by that their logic. That's so freaking stupid to me. But anyways, it's a genuine mindset. It's a genuine mental plague that plagues the younger Gen Z people. And I'm not sure how they're going to deal with being like past the age, even being past the age of like 25. Because then you start realizing like, yeah, you're not like really, really, really young anymore. You're not a teenager anymore. You're not in college anymore. You actually have to start like growing up. Even though like I haven't really, because I'm still talking about comic books and I still like to play video games. I could be born in 1908 just so long I wasn't in the wrong region of the country. Oh yeah, man. Oof. I mean, you probably would have been in the South. That would not have been good for you. I mean, you probably would have. I mean, I don't know anywhere. But I would think like, I was thinking that maybe, I don't know, maybe like California, New York. But even then, there's still a lot of like segregation and racism back then. It was just like, it wasn't the same as it was in the South, but there was still a lot of animosity. A lot of racial tension back then. Let's see. Someone hasn't seen Midnight in Paris. LOL. I don't, and I have not. So, and Garfield is saying Bay is not Ebonics. So let's search up Midnight in Paris. No, but apparently, I think honestly, if I went to France, I probably would do really well in France. If I'm talking about like French women, I think for whatever reason, man, like the French woman would be all over me. Although my understanding is that like they're insane, from my knowledge, man. Oh man, because like this one person I was talking to, I don't even know, but like claimed to be French. Got mad at me, typed stuff out in French like I'd freaking understand. If we had ever met, if this person was really met, she would have ruined my life. I would have had a lot of fun, but she would have ruined my life. Joker has a Mediterranean look. I guess so. I'm not Mediterranean, so I'm German, I'm Russian, and I'm Polish. So it's much more like Nordic and Eastern European. I never have done like 23andMe or Ancestry. I'm never going to. I'm sure the FBI has my DNA because I've donated blood, and I'm sure they take a bunch and send it to the FBI anyways. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I'm sure anybody, if you get your blood work done by like Quest Diagnostics, I've done that before. Because there's a time where I was on lithium, and my psychiatrist wanted me to get blood work done, and then get it as I was taking it to make sure my organs were not being damaged by taking lithium. So I didn't take the lithium because I was like, that's really weirding me out. and then I'm not on any prescription drugs right now, by the grace of God. But that wasn't for like physical health. That was for like my mental health. Although, don't go to the gym, don't eat right, don't, try to prioritize sleeping correctly. Just, take the lithium and the Zoloft and all that nonsense, and you'll feel better eventually. Ugh. Although she actually meant well. So I'm not, they meant well. They just were operating in a broken system. But that's a whole other discussion. Outside of England and Northern Europe, the rest of European women are kind of nuts. Yeah, I would say so. But the thing is that like with like a French woman, not only could they be very attractive, but they'll do a whole bunch of like really crazy stuff. And that's the appeal, right? Is that like of sticking it in crazy. Is that like you shouldn't do it. You've been advised not to. It's a saying for a reason. But you have so much fun while you're doing it. Although I'm not going to do that at all. I never have, and most likely never will. I'd say nobody would, but I'm wrong on that. Apparently, I'm attractive. I'm a handsome guy. Apparently, I have been told this. I have been informed I am wrong to think of myself as ugly. So like I'm not a bad looking guy. I've got a decent build. So like I said, I probably could go to a lot of those women. And a lot of them would be shocked if I said, yeah, I never had a girlfriend, I've never been with anybody. And they'd be like, well, we're changing that. Because there are a lot of women, this is something that like, feminists don't like to really talk about, especially if you're a sex negative one, is that women have libidos. And they are willing to sleep with men they find attractive. And in fact, if they don't get to sleep with a man they find attractive, then that scandalizes them. Then, of course, it becomes like, oh, do you think I'm ugly? It's like, no, I just don't want to do this right now. Looks don't matter that much to most women. You need to get past that. Yeah, I find that to be, the case as well. It's more of like a personality thing. But I think it's a bit different now than it was back in the day when you were dating, Mike. Is that like a lot of like with the dating apps and everything, it's made stuff very transactional where people take like one look at the guy or the women take one look at the guy, and like based on the looks, they're making a judgment on whether or not I would date this person. Oh snap! I didn't realize Beardo is a Rippaverse affiliate now. Congratulations to Beardo. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, I guess you'll see Rippaverse affiliates starting out. I haven't been, like I said, this is invite only, but eventually it'll be a sign up thing. That's the implication. I might get in when it's a sign up thing. I definitely will. If there's like an application to sign up, I might get an invite. Who knows? Probably not. I don't know why they'd want me to be a reverse affiliate when I'm talking about the Roman Empire in generations and like my opinions on French women. Let's see. Midnight in Paris is a 2011 fantasy comic. Let's see. Okay, yeah, no, I was just looking at this Midnight in Paris movie. But anyways, let's see. Joker needs to work on his beard. I mean, it's growing, man. But yeah, I don't know. Women are strange creatures with what they consider attractive. It's not often what we would fake. I 100% agree with that. Yeah, no, that is the truth. But the thing with women is that like you are never going to know like what a woman is actually thinking, and what that means because women do not mean what they say and say what they mean. It's entertaining, it's interesting, but it's like you can't like rely on like I say this and it means that. So it's just really confusing. And of course, like I guess I've kind of had this experience where I thought like if someone would find me attractive, it would be because I'm tall. And it's like, well, that's not always the case. So sometimes, yeah, a lot of times it is the beard, but I don't know, the beard's growing out. Garfield. So I don't know exactly, if you need me to, I don't know, you need me to. But anyways, if it's like the mustache, like yeah, the mustache isn't like really mustaching, but yeah, in a couple more weeks it'll be fully grown out. But I think it's pretty solid, like this. Like it's not like patchy or anything. But yeah, eventually it'll be at the point where it's fully grown out. In a couple of weeks, it'll be back to like how it was before. I did a podcast with Thaddeus Patrick that was on transgenderism from an Orthodox perspective. And one of the comments on when I posted on Twitter was like, dude's Hagrid. Let's see. Oh, that's why Beardo got his affiliate status low. That's the joke. I see. Oh, I need to work on the beard because of that. Yeah, I mean, I have never grown the beard out like for a long time. Honestly, I would love to go like a year without shaving and just see how much I can grow it out. I might get some beard oil though, to help stimulate the growth. But I'm at the point. I'm getting pretty close to the point where I'll need to start brushing and shampooing it again. Apparently my hair is like, I'm not sure if you guys can notice it, but my hair is starting to thin out. So I've only got probably like another 10 or so years before I start actually balding. Fun. Honestly, can't wait for that because like haircuts are expensive, man. So aging gives me the ability to not really have to worry about getting haircuts. That's good. Probably will still have the beard because like my grandfather was in his 90s before he passed. His beard was still growing. So that's just the high and low of it. I go beard oil, beard conditioner, brush and comb every day. So I just use my regular shampoo when I shampoo for my beard. I've looked at like beard. Let's see. Just promise you won't get the tonsure monk haircut. Yeah, I mean that's a Catholic thing. And honestly, if I were to become a tonsured monk, you guys wouldn't see me live streaming anymore because I would just be I would be in my monastery in my cell praying, fasting, studying spiritual texts, and then passing on the knowledge to the brothers and seminarians because I would want to go to seminary, become a hiro monk or a hero monk. Hiro monk, I think is how you say it, priest monk. And then I would just study the faith, and then I would just pass it on to whatever people who visited whatever monastery I was in. and you guys wouldn't see me live streaming. So like if I had the tonsured, I wouldn't have the tonsured one, because that's much more of a Catholic, like a Roman Catholic tradition. Even though there are some Orthodox saints, I think Palamas has icons where he has that kind of like bowl cut basically, but it's not like a universal thing. And I think like the grooming standards, it's not like it's not really economical. What will I do if what will I do if you have Joker? What will I do if you have Joker? I'm not sure exactly what you mean that. What will I do if you what will I do if you leave Joker? Yeah, I don't know. That's not going to happen for a while, guys. Of course, I don't know. Also, if I were to get married, that probably would change things a whole lot. Although whether or not I'll be married is really confusing right now, because probably not, but oh man, that's a confusing situation, man. And this has to do a lot with what we've established, that like women are being strange creatures, man. That it has a lot to do with that. Let's see. I gotta use the beard and face wash. I have facial cleaner, but I don't know. I shampoo my beard, and then I comb through it just to keep it like. I have to do that every day when it gets like thick enough, so that way I keep the knots out. And I'll probably get some oil just for the general health of it. But I don't know. I find like most shampoos to be like pretty like they've got like the artificial dyes and fragrances, and they're expensive to buy them consistently, and I'm just don't have the money to have like a beard like shampoo that I specifically use. So I don't know, maybe at some point in the future, who knows. We all know you would still have your reverse comic stash under your pillows at the Orthodox monastery. This is a funny joke. That's not what I would do. Honestly, I promised Ram. I think Ram lives in Texas. If I did that, I promise I'd give him all my comic books. So I probably would give a good amount, or at least, however many he wanted. And then I probably would just like sell the rest and then donate the money. I mean, it's a funny thing to think of, but again, I'm skeptical right now that I'd become a monk. It's something I would kind of be interested. I take care of my beard like Andrew takes care of his hair. Okay, that's nice. But for me, I just keep myself clean. I comb through the beard so that way it's not knotted, and I'm comfortable. Although, like I said, right now the beard's not at that point where I have to do that. Anyways, I'm talking about my beard. About Rippaverse comic books. Well, like I said, this is a pretty slow week for the Rippaverse, which it doesn't really happen all that often. So I love just like shooting the shit with you guys, and I hopefully you guys enjoy this, with me. Because a lot of the times the discussions, they become like anything but Rippaverse related, and it seems like, oh, there we go. It froze for a bit, but we are good. So like I said, we got Dirty Deeds, we got Rippaverse. Let's see. Also, I just framed the 2024 Blood Roof Halloween poster. It looks damn good. Yeah, I have a Blood Roof poster in my room by Kanan White. That's a really good one. And I have it like the Yara one by Will Conrad. That's a good one. Let's see. So yeah, of course, there's a Yara by Kanan White. There's Isom versus Darren Fontano. And then I got a lamp because my older sister visited me along with my parents last week, and my sister insisted I get lamps because the lighting was too harsh. So like again, the kind of and I had my shoes like strewn out in my kitchen, and they got me like a shoe. I built it myself. I built the shoe rack, but it's like, oh, you need a shoe rack? Yeah, I do. So I got a shoe rack, and it worked out well. It's actually nice to have the shoes organized. But it was like a lot of stuff that I do isn't like very like bachelor or Patty, because like Patty, like there are some things like I keep my dishes clean. I did clean my bathroom, so it's reasonably clean. Like I do my laundry. I wash my towels every week that I use, so I have like two I alternate between. So there's a lot of things that I do that are not like typical male behavior, but there are some things like that. But the whole thing is that, like, this whole lamp, like, I'm not even using it right now. The one I got in my bedroom, I use it kind of. I do turn on the lamp. It's like, yeah, it's nicer, but I don't know. Apparently, if I do have any ladies over, they're going to appreciate the ambiance, right? Although I do appreciate not having my shoes like in a pile on the floor where I'm tripping over them constantly. That's nice. But anyways, that's why this lamp was there. If you guys like, I very rarely show that side of the of this little office space that I have. Because like I said, this is a 2-bedroom apartment. Let's see. But anyways, going to head over to John Longbox's Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year to you. Of course, hail to Emily. Nice to see you in the chat. But like, not like I said. I guess like I said, this has been a pretty slow week for Rippaverse news. We covered the Rip affiliate program. Really cool to see that. Maybe I'll get invited. Of course, if I do, I will let you guys know. And of course, by just sharing the link explicitly and saying, hey, use this link, buy your Rippaverse stuff, and you can support me and also, support the Rippaverse. But we talked about that, some dirty deeds, some Rippa works, talked a little bit about just, speculating on books, but a lot of just rambling. This is what Braxcast Live really is. It's just like I go live, I talk a little bit about the Rippaverse news, and then I basically ramble about a lot of nonsense, which is usually just the Roman Empire, me just giving my takes on like my hot takes. But yeah, Ram says, heck yeah, you giving me some of your Rippaverse items if you leave. Yeah, it's only if I become a monk, Ram. Only if I become a monk. So like if I do get tantric, or I'm like on the path to getting tantric, because there's a period of time where you are a monk where it's before you're tantric, like you're half in and you're half out. And during that period when, I knew I would be getting rid of like all of my earthly possessions. And then, like I said, you would get the Rippaverse books. But like I said, it's only if I become a monk. If I get married, then I'm going to just stash a lot of them away and probably not look at them ever again, because then I'd have to really grow up and I'd have to take care of the wife. Don't have a wife. Skeptical I will have a wife at any point in the future. And I'm honestly okay with that. That it just is what it is. But who knows? Who knows what my life will be like in 5 years? I barely know what my life will be like in 5 days from now. Although not quite so anymore than it was like, I say not like a year ago. Pretty soon it'll be a year ago. But like in the summer, man, my life was really great because I was like moving. And then I got a whole bunch of jobs and I had, a whole bunch of stuff. Well, and all this stuff, this thing going on in my personal life. But like I said, I want to go ramble on about my personal life because that's like it's personal for a reason, and I don't like broadcasting my drama out to people. There are other people who do that. That ain't me. But anyways, I'm going to end it here. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this episode of Braxcast Live. I'll do Braxcast number 95 tomorrow. Hopefully, by the grace of God, I won't be too sick to do anything. But it's going to be I'll talk about Rip Affiliate. I'll probably speculate on what 2026 holds. And it's going to be like a very light episode of Braxcast. Because like I said, it's just a really slow news week. But I still wanted to live stream, do a bit of a longer live stream to touch in with you guys. Because you guys just for whatever reason listen to me ramble about the Roman Empire, whatever insane nonsense passed through this brain of mine. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Been going for a bit over an hour. You guys have a happy new year, first weekend of 2026. Make it a good one. But I am out of here, so Joker is out.